Okay. Call the May 1st, 2024 Port and Commerce Advisory Board meeting to order. Will the clerk call the roll?
Yes. Scudder. Howard, not here, absent. Miller, not here. Atwood.
Here.
Here. Smith.
Here.
Dunn. Here. Chair Jaffa.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Wow, thank you. All right. Citizen comments, we'll open it up to...
Bruce, do you want to do the pledge
I skipped over that.
first?
I would like to ask our newly minted harbor master to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. So now we have a period where anyone in the audience, the general public, can speak on any topic that is not up for hearing or discussion. I don't know if we have anybody signed in.
There is no one signed in.
Okay. Anybody have anything now they want to present? Okay. So, moving on, we have no proclamations. We have the city administration report. And I see Jason. And actually it's well summarized in the package, but...
We need
yes,
we still need to approve
what am
the
I doing,
agenda.
skipping around?
Agenda,
Consent agenda, I believe.
Citizen comments. You're absolutely right, sorry. Thank you.
Do we have a first to approve the agenda?
We need a motion to approve the
Yes,
agenda.
we need a motion to approve.
Yeah, we need a motion to approve the agenda. Is there,
Yeah, I would so move to approve.
I would second that.
okay, they're moving second. Will clerk call the roll?
Yes. Well, I will read the following. Approved for the consent agenda items are approved the April 3rd, 2024 Port and Commerce Advisory Board meeting minutes. And that is it.
Okay, thank you. That's passed, right?
That is passed.
Very good. Okay, item 6. Special order proclamations, non-city administration report. Now.
Yeah, we, just to make a note, what we've been doing, what we're doing from here on out is we're just putting in the same, basically, comprehensive administrative report, city manager report into the Port and Commerce Advisory agenda that they use for city council, just so that way you guys can see kind of this more comprehensive of what's going on throughout the city. So, anyway, happy to, there's lots in there and always happy to answer any questions on it.
Is there any questions on there? I think we all appreciate the thorough briefing that this provides for us. So, and of course, I would remind all of our members that this is available to us online a couple days ahead of time. So, okay. If there's no questions on that. So Jason, would you consider the harbor report rolled into that too, or we won't get a separate harbor report?
Yeah, that's all, that overall report includes every single
okay.
department within the city. Yep.
Okay, then I have a question for the harbor master. I hear a rumor about a possible change in the scheduling of the Coast Guard vote?
There is a possible change. They're still going to be home ported here is the plan. They just may be going to Kodiak until the facility is finished at SMIC. That has not been ironed out completely yet, though.
So is it a housing issue?
Maybe a housing issue,
I
maybe
bet.
just until the whole facility is accomplished, then they'll just move it over.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
Well, the question was presented to me, and I wondered whether there was some sort of a Defense Department strategy. Actually, Homeland Security, I think. Okay. Good.
We do know that they're in the process of purchasing property for housing. And then, obviously, I think things at the federal level tend to move slower than even at like the state level, and sometimes they just kind of don't coordinate correctly, but we know that they are making progress. It's just very slow.
Nothing that's troubling to the administration.
Not at all. There was some concern that with, that their dock wouldn't be available, they wouldn't have a place for the boat, but we do have a plan for that as well, if that's.
And when does the Mustang
It'll be
leave?
decommissioned next year.
Next year. So will there be a space between where there'll be no Coast Guard coverage and the
I believe it was
Resurrection Bay
like a
area?
2-year span,
Okay.
if that were to go through.
All right. Oh, we have other reports. We have Alaska Railroad report and the Chamber report. Oh,
Excuse me, Bruce, I just wanted to add also, in addition to the report that's in the packet, our Misty Sewell has accepted the office manager position and has started within our department. And then Ryan Anger is in the audience today, and he is our new deputy harbor master.
how tall is he?
5'9", 5'11".
Okay, you look pretty big. All right, welcome. Thank you for joining us. And you sort of watch where Tony has sort of helped us understand some of the issues. There'll be times probably where we'll be asking you, and obviously none of the questions are personal, they're all business, so we won't let them get personal, I hope. Okay, so Dwayne, if you could present the railroad report.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So the report's here in writing. A couple of things that I wanted to point out. One is I have mentioned previously the plan to remove the coal handling equipment from the coal dock. And we ran into a slowdown there, but now we have a contractor on board that has an aggressive schedule. And the public's probably noticed that some of the machinery has been removed, and we could see the loader and conveyor system along the dock removed by as early as June 1. So that's happening pretty fast. And then, of course, our cruise ship season has begun, and we do have a ship in today, the Carnival Spirit, and I just wanted to mention that there was a plaque exchange. The ship, I guess technically it had been to this port 4 years ago, but they were essentially treating it as, you know, the first time into the port, and so it's a common practice to go shipboard and have essentially a greeting ceremony. And we did that this morning, and the harbor master attended and the chamber director attended, and we got a good look at the Carnival Spirit and met with the captain, and it was a good event. And anyway, if anybody has any questions about the report, I'd be happy to answer.
I have one, and it maybe sounds a little far afield, but after the Francis Key Bridge disaster, I suspect that all maritime activities have taken a new look at how boats enter and exit a harbor. Does a railroad control any of that entry, or is that maritime law?
So, in terms of vessel approach, if specifically, how the vessels operate, I mean, we rely upon the captains themselves, and in some cases the ship pilots, to communicate any issues, and we rely upon their expertise. In terms of allowing a vessel into port, that's largely driven by schedule, and we'll communicate that, in advance. We try to keep, infrastructure in place for potential disasters. If you're thinking, fire or spills, events that might result from, some sort of physical, impact. That's essentially how the port operates.
So we do have a marine training facility here in Seward that has a lot of training for response, I think emergency responses. Are they actively involved in any of the docking? I guess that's first part of the question. Second, would there ever be a situation where a ship would report a condition where they would be, the railroad as the owner would say, no, don't dock here?
Yeah, so yes to both of those questions. So one is, for example, we were looking at the replacement of our cruise dock, and some of the things we were considering was the approach angle, and so having maritime simulators helped with that. So that's just one example. Mm-hmm. And then I'm sorry, the second part of your question?
Well, would there ever be a point where
yes.
boat would report a condition, say this is not a place to come in?
So we do have some guidance on, for example, wind speed. That's just an example. Frankly, in the case of say the ship's pilots, they will impose on themselves restrictions that are greater than ours. So, for example, so a pipe ship of a certain configuration might not come to our dock if the wind is blowing over 20 knots, and so that's another example.
Well, safety pays. So.
I heard them over the radio telling smaller boats to slow down sometimes.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. There's a speed limit.
Okay. So our next order of business would be the chamber report. We have Samantha with us today, and things are perking, it looks like.
Things are what?
Things are perking out on the street.
I don't understand.
A lot of people.
There's a lot of people out there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of people out there. That cruise ship is in town. Like Dwayne said, it was pretty interesting to get to go walk around on that Carnival cruise ship this morning. Felt like I was back in my homeland of Atlantic City with all the gambling and gaudy designs, and it was really interesting. So today I just have a couple things to talk about. My report, similar to Jason's, is attached that I sent in for council. So I'm going to derail a little bit from that. On May 11th, we have a Chamber After 5 event with the Alaska Railroad, the Port of Seward, the Port of Tomorrow, the Seward Company, and Royal Caribbean Group, delivering a presentation on the passenger dock project. When we had a meeting with Christy Terry a few weeks back, the recommendation we as a chamber made was you need to have a meeting with the community to talk about this project so questions can be asked and heard. They did a presentation at council, but this will be a way for them to get face-to-face and talk with the community. I'm sure everybody here is aware of what's going on, but I'm just going to pass down the flyer that you could place maybe in your place of business or somewhere people could get eyes on it, and just a little project fact chart for you. So if anybody has any direct questions on that, I can speak to it a bit. I'm not fully versed in all that. Thank you, Jody. But that's a big one that we have lined up, and we're aware of the irony that the Chamber After 5 event starts at 4:30. So we're aware. Well, as the Seward Chamber of Commerce, we did write a couple letters of support for the project, for the city grant. The city is applying for a grant. Jason will probably talk a little bit more on it, for those cruise ships to actually utilize the Seward electricity. So there's a lot going on, and I hope you choose to join for this event. We care about sustainable tourism, but the cruise ships are an integral part of our economy. Okay, so does anybody have any
Questions? For
about
sure.
that? Yeah, I have a couple different things to talk about, but I don't want to move
Oh.
along unless you could stay topical, so.
What would the board prefer? You want individual questions on topic by topic?
We can always come back to it. if you have
Let's do that,
Okay.
then you can present.
Sure, yeah, I definitely wanted to shed light on that event, and then the second thing that I have to share with you is some statistics from our DataFi platform. Everybody seems pretty interested in this. One thing that we're doing in tandem with the Alaska Small Business Development Center is trying to paint a picture of what our economy looks like through the KPB sales tax data and our visitation analytics tool, DataFi. So this is a brief destination summary pulled from this platform that looks at some visitation from 2018 up to 2023. You can see how the numbers dropped in 2020, and you can see comparatively from 2022 to 2023 on this just little one-sheeter.
Wow.
I'll talk a little bit more on it, sorry, that's the last thing I'll ask you to help me with.
Yeah.
So in 2013 and 2023 last year, we did see like about a 25% decrease in visitor volume. So we're hoping to see that bump back up for the next year. But we saw in-state visitation increased, but out-of-state visitation decreased last year, so there was more local Alaskans coming. You can pull out some specific markets in there. Jason, can I steal that back from you so I can have one to look at too? Thanks. But this really helps us like understand. We have business owners come up to us and say, like our numbers just weren't there last year. Is this a trend? Are other businesses seeing this? So this can help us really understand the climate of our destination. I've been meeting with the borough and other regional chamber heads, having some conversations with Mayor Rachicki about how the Kenai Peninsula Borough can support tourism. And KPED has been known to Kenai Peninsula Economic Development District, a couple of representatives, Caitlin and Cassidy, and KPED is looking into purchasing this platform, DataFi, for the borough to be able to use to understand, like visitation on the Kenai Peninsula. So they'll be likely the gatekeepers of that tool, so the chamber won't have as much access to the raw data, but I'm kind of glad to see it go into those hands and really, some experts on it who can craft and formulate a good picture for us. So that's just a little information from DataFi. Everybody always seems to be really interested in that. In terms of, I'm not really going to get into too much on the sales tax. I'll let Kellyanne speak to that. But the last thing kind of on my radar, getting up in front of the advisory committee to talk about is our relationship with the city and the city funding. The bed tax historically has funded the Seward Chamber of Commerce, and 2 years ago that funding was stabilized. It wasn't a percentage of the bed tax revenue. It was a stable $300,000 that we received over the course of 2 years, which we receive in increments. We're up for a renewal this year. That will be part of the city budgeting conversation. So I just wanted to talk, just name a couple things that the Seward Chamber of Commerce is doing. While my presentation has been focused on tourism, it's sort of that season. But it's a strong initiative of ours to support economic development year-round and support our year-round businesses and support our community, really. We have a contract of the things that were outlined to execute for the city, which it's our guiding principle. But we tend to pull together other things as well to make this place a wonderful place to live, work, and play, in my opinion. So just to talk about a little bit of what it is, I did this at a previous presentation, but we're a year-round visitor center. We employ 4 year-round individuals and anywhere from 2 to 5 seasonal employees. We're the destination marketing organization for the city of Seward. We're running Visit Seward social media. We're traveling to trade shows. We're also a traditional chamber of commerce. This means economic development. This means monthly luncheons. This means monthly after fives with topical conversations of what's going on in our community and what is facing our business owners and our community members. This is putting on a job fair and ice cream social every year. We're the visitor center at the cruise ship terminal and Harbor Derby booth. And 2 weeks ago for that first ship on the 22nd, I stood at the cruise ship terminal and welcomed some guests in, and somebody said to me, the resources that your city is putting into this is well spent. This is not here at every port, like a chamber of commerce or like a welcome visitor center to bring people on. And he just spoke of the impact that we had just by standing there. And I said, oh yeah, no problem. I'll tell him you said thank you. We maintain Seward.com, which is not only a place for our businesses to have an online presence, but it, we have a lot of other festivals that we put on there, 4th of July, Silver Salmon Derby. We run the Mount Marathon Race, the 4th of July Festival, the Silver Salmon Derby, community event support, First Friday Art Walks, first one this Friday night, I hope you're going. We co-fund and host the Alaska SBDC office, which is open to all business owners at any level of business, owning, operating, selling. It's a free resource that you can come in and get advising on your business. And plenty more that I don't need to get into, but all of it to say is, as an advisory committee, PACAB can help us advocate for that funding. And hopefully we are showing the value of our organization to this community. As those conversations happen, hopefully, I don't know how it would look, just helping us advocate for our funding and for what we do. So, otherwise, my written report is attached. If anybody has any questions, that's kind of everything I wanted to touch base on today.
Sure, let's grill you a little bit.
And then I have one question too from PACAB at the end, or
go ahead.
is what does PACAB want from me? How can I help facilitate your mission? I don't want to come up here and just rattle off what I think you want to hear. If the chamber is going to be a regular presence here, I want it to be effective and hopefully try to, if you can give me a little guidance in supporting your mission, it could be a great partnership, PACAB.
Well, let me start with that. Anybody on the board want to respond to Samantha's query?
Well, if I might, one thing that I would say is that you're really the voice of the membership. I realize that's very broad, but if there are any issues that we have been dealing with, which I realize are quite wide-ranging, and of course, we've been talking about housing and we've been talking about infrastructure issues and other things, but if, concerns are being voiced by chamber members that might be, important for us to, be aware of. I know that's not direct guidance, but that would be, it would be good to know. And I suppose you can do that in your regular reports, if there are. And I understand that you're sort of the filter that's coming through, but I think that would be helpful for this body.
Well, Samantha, I think the benefit of a little long lens on this. I've watched several executive directors of the chamber come and present to PACAB. PACAB, but I'm sorry, I have another organization that's similar letters that are in a different organization, different order. Cindy Clark, when she presented to us, there was a competition for funding. There wasn't the absolute surety that council was going to get, or the chamber was going to get, the funding that they needed to do all the activities that they were proposing. So there was somewhat of an advocacy that she was presenting to our group. And of course, she had a presentation that was always trying to, encourage participation in the community, and a public airing, helped that. I think when council wisely solidified the funding, I think that was under CAT, but I'm not sure. I think that was the era. It gave more stability to council's or chamber's position economically. Relieved a little bit of the need to publicly advocate, but because we are a board that has an advisory board function, and we're going to talk a little later about some of those have to do with business activities and the well-being of the community. Those are critical to Chamber's role. So allowing us to provide a place to vet ideas, possibly for us to carry them through to council, or just to air them out. This is actually for council or chamber's benefit. I keep saying that. For chamber's benefit. What our board is going to do is advise council that, well, we heard a great presentation and we support it. Or chamber would come to us and say, we would really like to have PACAB provide a resolution to council, which goes through the administrative period, but that's something that could be done. I wonder, frankly, and the $300,000 is not your total budget. I understand that you have other fundraising activities, but for 4 or 5 employees, the building itself, that's not enough money. Or if it is, you're scrimping by.
So that's a flat funding rate. It used to be funded by the city was representative of a percentage of the bed tax revenue that came in. So while that stabilization has made it easier in budgeting cycles to know what we're going to bring in, it's lower. Like this year, it was lower than that 2%. Was it 2% of the bed tax, or was it 2% of the bed tax?
Well,
so
it was, half of the bed tax, which is 4%. Yeah.
So I would suggest right there, if your accounting comes up with a potential shortfall, it would be, this board would provide you an opportunity to bring that, for an airing. Saying, we have these programs that, and we'll talk, I'd like to talk about that in a minute too, that are beneficial to the community, but we couldn't do it because we were, $15,000 short in this area. I think that would be a place to come to this board and talk about it.
Yeah, as you said, that Cindy used to use this as an advocacy for her funding. I guess, without knowing it, that's kind of what I wanted to also talk about today in relationship to the DAT-FI and the presentation. So.
Well, I've always felt as I'm not nautical, but I'm a business person, and I thought that was a good fit for me on this board. Commerce is business, so the Chamber of Commerce, the business in Seward, well-being of the citizens, I think they're all tied together. So I've always been excited about hearing what Chamber's projects are and what their vision is, because this is something where you are sitting there all the time, most of the time, a lot of the time, thinking about, is this project working? Are we going in the right direction? Are end results the benefit of the community? Does that help at all?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, on that same topic, anybody?
And just like more specifically, I think the data sets that you provide are extremely helpful, and I definitely encourage the creativity that's involved in I know it's hard data to collect, and that's a really valuable service that the Chamber provides. And in the past too, I think the Chamber, it has been a while, but like we've made requests for specific types of data or information, and then receive that at the next meeting, and that's pretty helpful for this board in our functions. So I wanted to point that out, and this is great. Thank you.
I'm glad it's helpful. With Kellyanne, the Small Business Development Center advisor, we're working on when she gets her data from 2020 what the heck is it, 3, they haven't released it yet. We want to make a comprehensive, just like look at the forecasting, well, it's not really forecasting, but what it was last year, so we can understand what it might be like in the future.
I'd like to follow up on that. I think what you said was KPED, or Kenai Peninsula Economic Development, is going to either use or absorb this program to advise Kenai Peninsula Borough. Does that mean, and I think you said then your access would be through them, it would no longer be direct?
Yes, if we choose to, they want to open it up for the chambers to access it, but it will be, they'll be the gatekeepers of it, so it'll be a little more limited in terms of what we can pull from it. We do have our own subscription currently, which we can renew, but they're willing to absorb that cost.
I guess I'm a little provincial, I'll show that right now by saying, is Seward's interests well protected by having to rely on the Central Peninsula for this information?
It's hard to trust that borough, huh?
Huh?
Are you going to give us the data we want? Well, it will be filtered through. They haven't set any parameters yet. There's also no signing in blood that we have to enter into that partnership with them. But this platform is nearly $6,000 a year.
It would cost us $6,000 a year?
It would probably cost the city of Seward more, but through the chamber it's a little more affordable. It's scalable, the scalability. It'll cost the borough in the tens of thousands for the platform.
Just, can I make a,
You can have
KPED is not associated with the borough. They are not like
No.
part of the
It's not
borough.
their borough.
And so they are their own development district. I know the borough does give them funding, but I just want to make sure that we're differentiating the
That's a
borough
good
from
point.
KPED in that instance. So,
a good
and
point.
KPED has always been very, very helpful for our community, like Tim Dillon and.
Oh, I agree.
And so, yeah, I just wanted to make sure we're differentiating between the
Yeah.
two
The-
entities there.
Well, that would segue to my next question, and in watching this graph from year to year, it's going to flow. I think anything
Yeah.
that would be normal. Are there instances where there are competing Soldotna interests? I know, well, case in point, we competed with Homer for the Tuscaloosa for years and we lost that battle. Are there other potential conflicts between City of Kenai promotional things and Seward? I know we're in different geographic conditions.
I would say no. The resounding theme at these meetings that we've been having with the borough and with KPED and with the regional chamber heads is that a rising tide lifts all boats. If we can get people to Seward, if we can get people to the Kenai Peninsula, they're more likely to spend their whole trip here, and that's what we want. It's a very collaborative group, and everybody is sort of in it together. We'll see how the boards react to this. That's division of power. Just because the chamber heads are on board with it doesn't necessarily mean the board will be. But no, if we're getting people to the Kenai Peninsula, they're likely coming here. They're likely making a stop in Soldotna. They're likely spending a couple of days in Homer. So, and I do want to speak to what Jason said about KPED not being part of the borough, and they have been really extremely great to work with the last 2 years, and their new executive director, Cassidy, this is her initiative to take on Datify, and it doesn't seem that they'll be gatekeepers, maybe is a strong word for it, but the wise ambassadors of the data to filter it through their systems, I think will provide us with stronger data sets than maybe, I think it'll provide strong data sets.
I do too. I know Tim is retired, but he brought a very even-handed approach to the entire peninsula. When he spoke to council, he was speaking to the city of Seward. He wasn't speaking for Soldotna interests, and I assume that when he was talking to Soldotna, he spoke to them, and a person can do that, if they got ethics and logic. I guess I'm a little defensive about the East Peninsula Economic Engine. I want to see that strong first, and whatever they do over there. And KPED did fill a void. You know, when Tim brought that in there wasn't any borough-wide organization that was doing, Chamber was sort of doing it, but they're all in individual little places. So they deserve a lot of credit. One other question I had, Samantha, on this graph, it's all built, I believe, on visitor days, which is something that, you know, we've learned over time. I learned it from Tom Tugas about more butts on the boat and one more day and all that business. And but is there a relation between the economy, the actual dollars that flows through Seward and these visitor days? Because at one time, the state looked at people that came across the border in a Winnebago and what they spent compared to people that flew in or people that came in on a boat. So is there a trend that you're able to follow to see that the dollars are following these visitor days?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Datify gets better with the economic impact, scalability with the platform, so that they can actually get some of that information, dollar amounts, to correlate visitor days too. Total trips are people just coming here, not counting how long they're spending here. Visitor days are how many days they're spending in Seward. So we saw that many. That's not people, that's like days that visitors spent here. So the higher that number is, what we can assume is the more money they're spending in Seward. So average length of stay and visitor days are the two ones that we really want to pay attention to and see bump up.
So for the number of, if we were going to convert this to a dollar amount, when you file your borough taxes, which if you haven't, you need to today, it's done by quarterly. So like I just filed mine for January, February, and March. It didn't offer me a breakdown a month. So any data that we get from sales tax will be by quarter. So I just wanted to make that comment.
I mean, we can look at this chart here and you can see numbers of visitors coming in, or visitor days by quarter, by month, so you can make rough estimates.
Yeah.
But that number, yeah, that's throughout the year. And again, this is a look at the whole year. This is, we've presented on just summer months. This is a look at the full year compared to 2022.
I had one other question, Samantha. You might be the right person to answer this. I've run into lots of people on 4th Avenue in the last 2 weeks. I mean, a ton of people, and it's great. And when I get out of the truck, my dog gets out of the truck and she goes up to 15 or 20 people and they're all petting her. And so, are you a local? Yes, I am. Well, what is a phrase that you would use to present Seward?
Alaska starts here.
I like it.
Yeah, Alaska starts here.
Okay.
That's our little tagline.
Any more questions?
I just have one
Yeah.
real quick question. So, I understand this idea of having this kind of, unified effort by entities on the peninsula to get visitors onto the peninsula, and then, which is great. But if, visitors to Alaska don't come to the peninsula, I mean, what's the peninsula's competition? Is this the valley, regions north? Pardon?
Denali.
Just Denali and going north? Yeah.
The Wasilla and Palmer Chamber of Commerce's, they have pretty strong funding, but people tend to just kind of go right up to Denali. We see a lot of
mountains.
visitors planning trips that are down to Seward, up to Denali, or the southeast really gets those cruise ships. We don't really see that kind of traffic. And, just another piece of this is that visitation can spark residency, and promoting the peninsula as a place to live is also a priority here.
Indeed, yeah, good.
I have one. Is the chamber interested in compiling a list of businesses in the area that aren't chamber members? Or that are like everybody, not just chamber members? I just feel like there's a lacking in our community of, like, right now, somebody needed a tow company. There's 2 tow companies in town, but without having a phone book with yellow pages in it, without having the newspaper to advertise in, there's no real website to find out where to get anywhere from questions here lately have been, where can I get a haircut? Where can I buy underwear? Just basically anything that would help businesses, because they would know where, and cabs. I've been approached by cab companies on that because they see because they.
I understand where you're coming from, Becky, and, my initial thought is, what's the incentive to join the chamber if we're providing that service? Print advertising is not free, advertising your business is not free. Those costs, those labor costs to compile that list, to produce it, to post it.
Maybe the chamber isn't the one to do it, but it really should be done, I feel, by the city.
We do have the platforms in place. Seward.com has all listings of all of our members, and it does provide information about the city outside of just the membership.
I do like when I was a member and had a.
Hang on.
The platform is there.
Okay, and that's a great start.
It's built. It would be redundant to have an additional source. I think sometimes in this community we try to reinvent the wheel. If we came together on community calendars, if we came together on listings on Seward.com, that's the spot for it.
I really liked it when I was a member, when I had a B&B, that after hours, when you're closed, you have a list of who has vacancies in the area. So people pull up and they're like, oh, that has vacancies, and so maybe still offer services like that, or maybe.
We do have a lodging availability list with a QR code that goes out to member businesses who have lodging. They can sign up if they have an open slot for that night or later in that week, and people coming to town who don't have to stay can look at that list to see what's available, and we're looking at building a similar platform for both our fishing charters and for like tours, day tours. So thank you, I'm glad that was a valuable service for.
Maybe still do full advertising for the ones that are members, or be in the brochure or something. I don't know, it just seems like, now that I talk to you, I don't really think it's the chamber's place to do that, but like the Kenai Peninsula Borough has a list of everybody that has a business license, and the state of Alaska does.
Sounds like maybe K-Side.
The city of Seward doesn't.
Okay. We have a method of doing this back and forth, so this is not a work session. We are a little bit more direct in our discussion. But I think the chamber does advocate for members, but not exclusively. So I like your comment about a rising boat, and I'll shock you. I shocked Kat a number of years ago. Our statewide business has never been a chamber member, and probably wouldn't, because we're not a name brand that really benefit from chamber membership. But we support the chamber, like the things they do. But it's not for everybody. Not for everybody. Sorry. All right, any more questions for Samantha? Thank you so much. I appreciate all of this, and this is big excitement, the news we got on the dock, and I can't imagine how it must look over to your place, because this has been a long time coming. And how much of this budget? I mean, if we stop and talk about the economy of Seward, we're bringing in $500 million. $500 million between the tunnel and the dock over the next number of years.
Hope to see you on May 7th.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so that was the chamber report, and very, very beneficial. No presentations, the consent agenda. We went through the minutes, resolutions, no unfinished business, none. Where are we? Resolutions, none. Other business. Okay, discuss and set the rest of the regular meeting and work session topics for 2024. I think in the packet you should have the worksheet. Yep.
Page 17.
That's this one.
Yep.
And we have open dates for a work session on May 15th, October 16th, November 20th, and December 18th. I think Board Member Dunn, this will be your first shot at this, but what we've done in the past is taken a look at, the topics that we want to deal with. And what I have asked the clerk to provide to you is the code that talks about the things that we're actually involved with at PACAB. In other words, we're not going to...
Bruce, here's what they actually got just on PACAB.
Was this the one I gave you?
No, it's the one you gave me, but that's the updated one that you asked me to print out. So
Yeah.
that is, you got the original one I gave you was everything.
Yeah, I know,
I just
okay.
broke it out for you
Yep,
first.
yep, yep. So, first of all, we all know that we have a hiatus coming up at the end of after the May meeting. So if we're going to do anything at the May meeting, now's where we want to set that. And for your information, we have a fairly broad venue of things we can deal with. Transportation, trade, energy, commerce, infrastructure throughout the city, alternative energy, which I did watch your last meeting, thank you, Vice Chair Smith. I thought that was a well-presented meeting, a lot of good information came out of that. We can do more of that, we can do housing. I guess I have a question, administrative question. I had considered, as chair, appointing some committees to three-person committees that could work through the summer. Does that have to be presented ahead of time into the agenda?
I believe we have to, anytime we have a meeting, we have to notice.
To appoint a committee. So if we converted the next work session to a special meeting, we could do that.
Mm-hmm. That way you could notice it, yeah.
Okay. My thoughts on it are, I would like to see an alternative energy committee and a housing committee work through the summer. That would be 3 people. The volunteers, of course, would be received by the chair. The chair would be one of those 3. Not that I'm trying to make more work for myself, but I think there's a need, and I hate to see it just shelved for 3 months. So at this meeting, we can convert by motion that work session to a special meeting and put a topic on there or 2. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense, Mr. Chair.
I know. It took me a long time to wrap my head around this, and I was guided by great chairs like Darrell Schaefer-Meyer and Deborah Aldermont that were able to come up with these topics and say, hey, let's take this on. I guess I don't have that particular benefit, but I'm asking you to think about what things we can do to help the city, and we'll talk about it right now because we have 1, 2, 3, 4 opportunities to talk about things. Okay, I'm going to say that I'm going to move as the chair then that our work session on 5/15 be converted to a special meeting, and that we consider appointment of committees for alternative energy and housing. 2 separate committees. That's a motion.
I second that.
That's a second. So discussion? The dumb idea? I don't mind hearing that.
We have a limited amount of people here to sign up for the committee, so would you just sign up people that missed the meeting?
You can only do that till next week when you have it on the agenda.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as long as, you just need to make sure all your other people are there. at your next meeting. I mean, you can schedule it for that, and then they're there, and then you can place them on there at that next meeting. Yeah.
And we can communicate with them through the clerk, you know, to ask for volunteers and things like that.
And, excuse me, Mr. Chair, you have it 1 o'clock as well? Okay. I have to leave for another appointment, so, but
Well,
I'm sure the harbor master will be able to take care of everything for you.
thank you, Jason, appreciate it.
Thank you, Jason.
Okay.
I'm sorry too, I'm also medical.
Yes, thank you,
But thanks for
Samantha.
having me.
Well, thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Sam.
Okay, so, we have a motion.
We actually don't need a motion because we're gonna have to do that next week. Because it's not on the agenda. We're just discussing it. So next week, we would be making the motion to have a committee for this and a committee for this.
We need a motion to convert this from work session to special session,
Oh, I see.
special meeting.
Okay, so you're just making the motion to have it, okay. But we're not doing the committees?
No.
Okay.
No.
Just a question, Mr. Chair. Can we essentially set this calendar and approve it? Or do we have to approve each topic for each meeting date?
Well, I think we have to approve it, we have to select the topic for each of these openings.
Right, but what I'm asking is, would we then essentially adopt the calendar in one motion, or are we
Yes.
going? Yes, okay.
Yes, one motion.
Okay, thank you.
So the first item is gonna be different than the work session topics, because I'm asking to convert the work session to a special session. And then we can come back and we can pencil in some topics for that. Is that correct? I mean, our discussion,
Well, you're just asking right now is to convert the work session on
That's
the
a motion right
15th to a special meeting.
Yes.
That's it.
yes.
Then, that's the motion, and we need to agree on that. And then we need to just continue to discuss the topics on what you want for all the,
That's I think that makes sense. So, if there's no other discussion on the motion, we'll call for the vote. Will the clerk read the motion?
the motion is to change May 15th's work session to a special meeting on May 15th for to consider
Committee assignments.
committee assignments for the summer for alternative energy and, you said housing?
Yes. Yes, that's the motion. So, we'll call the roll.
Sorry, roll call is, I'll just use my piece of paper, is Atwood,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
and Chair Jaffa.
Yes. Okay. So that will finish off our year before the hiatus and give us a nice juicy thing to deal with. Now, when I read these other things to you, the intent was to give you an idea that we have a broad opportunity to talk about things that come to council. When council met earlier this summer, unfortunately, I should have got this while Jason was here, but Jason presented to the council, and the council approved work sessions and priorities as alternative energy, comprehensive plan and strategic plan, South Harbor uplands development, including the harbor master building, and wastewater treatment options. We've actually dealt with all those to some degree. Now, we can revisit them if there's progress on the uplands that needs to be considered.
Mr. Chair, Board, if I could, we have made some progress on that South Harbor uplands. We've met with Alaska Lands and talked about a preliminary plan for that area, and have been speaking with community development also. in that process. So if we want to take, say, the October 16th, that would be a good one to revisit.
Okay?
Did we get an estimate for the electrical on that?
We did. I can send that out when I get back
Okay.
to you all.
So the upland development for the October 16th work session. And as time goes on, we can add to these, but we don't want to have a blank calendar. We can use our time. That's what we should do. Okay? I'd like to come back in the fall and talk, wrap up or get back into the alternate energy. I listened, like I said, to the meeting, and you covered a lot of topics. This group could be a clearinghouse for a lot more. I mean, I know this is way off, this is Tim McDonald country, but fusion, there just was a huge breakthrough in fusion. Now, that doesn't mean fusion's gonna happen, fusion energy tomorrow, but it's moving that way. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Solar farms all over the place, including our heat loop project. And you guys got an update on that last week, but there's a photovoltaic component to that I just spent an hour on the phone yesterday with a NREL guy talking about what kind of energy could be produced by mounting panels on 3 of the 4 buildings in that project. Still not enough for the load, but it's a great offset. And if funding's available, it's a good way to go. So in the fall, I'd like to come back to another alternate energy and bring maybe the result of our committees over the summer to that. So it looks to me like November might be available for that. Okay. Okay. I don't know when we got the regular work session or the regular meeting in November, but I'm sure the city will come up with something by then. So I'm not too worried about that one. And we have the harbor tariff, of course. Is there anything else in the harbor that we need to particularly bring up? The uplands, anything in SMIC or?
What about moving the harbor tariff up to the November 6th meeting in case if there's any changes and that needs to go through council after, correct? If it needs to fall in that year to be passed for the future, for the next year?
Well, not a problem with me. Is that a problem with the clerk? To readjust the schedule and move the tariff up to, by a month into the November timeframe?
Oh, we can change that.
Okay. And anybody else have something? Board Member Dunn, you were talking about how to promote businesses. That's a tough one, but somewhere along the line, there has been efforts, and I'm not sure I'm fully aware of all of them. So maybe we could be a clearinghouse and bring in all the different people who are doing Facebook pages or whatever the heck they're doing. I don't even know. I don't know how to find a barber in town. How would you find a barber?
Uh-oh.
What? 1 o'clock.
I know. It's just a test. So I'm hoping somebody else notices and airs that, because that's me that airs it's just a test. On the radio. I think it's automated now.
Well, I I was at Sea Life dinner the other night, and the emergency report came on and said Falls Creek had a rock slide to close the road. Falls Creek to me is out here in Moose Pass, but
Yeah, I got a call on that too.
it was mile 104, who cares about that?
So back to the calendar,
Yeah.
the regular meeting on December 4, what is the topic?
We don't have one.
So alternative energy, that becomes a work session?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. It's still a matter of gathering information, although at some point, and I have not met with the new electric director yet, but at some point, we're probably going to need to revisit alternative energy rebates, net metering, other kinds of electrical policy. You know, and we might pencil that in, electric policy, or,
I still think some sort of heat pump rebate program could be figured out. There's room for that.
I agree.
Yep.
When we put that into a nice cold month like December,
Yeah.
okay. So we'll talk about heat pump,
Same thread, makes sense.
rebate. I'd like to broaden it out, and sustainable energy policies. No, that's not the word.
Yeah. Well, we're essentially trying to incentivize,
Mm.
right? That's,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
What can the
that-
city do to encourage people to, or to make it easier?
Yeah. Rebates and incentives and.
And incentives, yep. I think that's pretty broad,
Mr. Chair, was that for the regular meeting on the 4th?
pardon me?
That was the regular meeting? Okay.
The what meeting?
Regular?
Yeah,
Yes, on the 4th of December.
yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, we might be able to get a speaker in for that. It's late in the year for the December, but I would still think that housing is still going to be a topic. So if we set the work session for the 18th of December for housing and come back to that, you know, by then we may have some reports that everything is rosy and on track, and with modular housing going in or whatever the heck it would be.
We need to bring in the builders still.
Yeah, I didn't exactly know where to bring it in, but we'll talk, I'll mention that now. My personal schedule did not allow me to pursue some of the meetings with people that I wanted to invite to our meeting, the builders. But I did talk to the fire chief after our last meeting, because there was discussion about the 3-story limit being, or the 34-foot elevation being a problem for the fire department. The Chief Kreitz's comment was there's no ladder that would reach to the top of the Captain Cook either. So he has the equipment and feels comfortable with, in cases where people wanted and were permitted to build taller buildings, it would not be a public safety issue. The pressurized fire escapes and other escape mechanisms are available. And I think a bigger question is viewscape and seismic construction, things like that. But if there was a reason when we're talking to housing that city building codes need to be looked at, we need to get with P&Z or building officials and talk about it. But that would be a good topic to bring up in the fall.
Were we still thinking on having a work session with planning and zoning?
The what?
A work session with planning and zoning?
Well, Jason has left for the city, but, and I don't mean to put Tony on the spot, but April and May have been the traditional time where council has had joint meetings with P&Z, PACAB, and the historical group. They did a year ago. But we used to also have a liaison from council. So things have changed a little bit, and I don't know, Becky, but I think it's overdue, personally.
Also, maybe combine with how to help businesses. It comes to do with, at least my angle was advertising and maybe the lack of news in the area. I mean, we're working on that with Seward Public Radio and the TV channel, so then we will have the news, the banner across there, and be able to have council meetings on there and when we get our own channel. But now the public can get free TV service with 4 channels. But so there will be a channel on that available to advertise on or to list businesses or some news.
How would PACAB's role be in that?
Well, when we were thinking on the, I don't know if that would be worth bringing up when we're bringing up businesses, because that is the problem, is the lack of advertising or the lack of getting the word out. Now that there's not even the yellow pages in the local phone company book, times are changing, and there's that.
Well, I think that probably, I can't read my own writing. I think that communication would be a good topic for us to talk about.
Yeah, communication, basically. And I've been approached by a couple of cab companies. They're like, hey, can you do a shout out for us? Because nobody ever hears about us or knows that we exist. And
Well, we have a regular meeting on the 9th, on the 4th of September, and the AML attendance will discuss appointing someone or selecting someone to go to that, but that could be a time where we could talk about community communications.
It's a good idea.
Communication opportunities or resources, something like that. All right. So we have actually filled our calendar. Is there something the group thinks we should include that we haven't? I mean, they can be brought up again. It's not like nothing can be, things can be modified, improved.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I think having these placeholders is, yeah, it's a good strategy, so at least we have something going forward. And I think you're correct. I think we're nimble enough to bring other topics as needed.
Okay. So do we need to move to accept this this draft, or how does that work exactly? I'm not sure.
We can make a motion to accept the changes to and the additions to the list of priorities for the
Okay.
remaining 2024.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay. So, motion's been made and seconded to approve the calendar as we've discussed. And if we pass this, would this be available for review at our next meeting in 2 weeks? Just to make sure that we're all clear?
Yes,
Okay. So,
we can, I mean, it's updated, we can send out a new, make sure it's, you'll see it on the minutes as well.
okay.
Okay, good, because I'm.
Because we've asked you, I know you got the recording to go to, but, taking notes and everything like that bothers my mind.
Keep it up.
Like, I can't even read my notes, so.
Well, mine either, so I
All right, so, clerk, call the roll.
Dunn?
yes.
Schutter's not here. Smith?
Yes.
Howard's not here. Atwood?
Yes.
Miller's not here. Chair Jaffa?
Yes.
Okay, it has been approved.
Very good, thank you. All right, so.
Will we discuss the sewer, sewer again this year? Any more work sessions or any? With all the discussion in housing, I think that this sewer situation really needs to be addressed before we build a bunch of houses.
I'm sorry, Becky,
The sewer, will we be bringing that up again?
the sewer?
Yeah.
Well, I would imagine that infrastructure and, you know, not just the you know, extension of sewer and other utilities, but, you know, even zoning and other matters would come up as part of our housing discussion, I think.
My concern is putting the cart before the horse because we need to address that.
You're talking about the Lowell Point treatment plant?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Well, we have discussed it quite a bit, and
Yeah.
I think you're right, Board Member Atwood, that it's not gonna go away immediately, and as housing, I hope, grows, the load on that facility will grow. Tony?
Mr. Chair, Board, we could discuss that on the October 2nd legislative priorities meeting.
Yeah.
That all falls in
Yeah,
there.
that's
Sidewalks.
actually in the
Yeah.
city legislative priorities already.
Correct.
Yep, very good, thank you. Yeah, there's quite a paragraph on that there.
Pretty broad.
Yep. Okay. So where is this today? Discuss. So, remainder of the media information work session on May 15th, we dealt with that. Regular meeting on September 4th. Sorry. And we dealt with that. That would be community, so we've dealt with both of those things. And that brings us to citizen comments. And I don't see any citizen. And we will then, the board, we go around any board comments and then responses by the administration. Board Member Dunn, welcome.
Thank you. Well, let me look at my notes. Oh, I just keep bringing this up, hoping somebody will hear. And if anybody has a suggestion for a place for a bike rack, we have one back there that's just stashed in the bushes. So that'd be nice to see that displayed someplace. I don't know if that's not really our department, but I know many people listen to this later on YouTube. Also, in the line with bicycles, interested in people putting together the Don't Crack Your Cranium program again. Also probably not really a PACAB thing, but has to do with the community, to where the cops would give out a ticket for a free ice cream when they catch a kid on a bike with a helmet. And that also brings out good relationship between the cops and the kids, good interaction there.
Okay. Board Member Atwood.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, my comments really are just about the meeting that we've had today. I think that, you know, just looking at our calendar, the things that we would like to address and actually think about, and the participation that we had from the chamber. This is a really interesting and engaging body to be on, and I look forward to this work that we'll undertake as soon as we convene again. But anyway, it's been a productive meeting.
Vice Chair Smith.
It was nice to see the chamber here and get that report. It helps fulfill the commerce part and important commerce. So it's always nice to have them around, and I appreciate the work that they're doing to promote the businesses in town. And it does look like there's see a new name here, Tidewater Tap House. So hopefully I can visit that chamber after 5. And it's nice seeing town turn back to life here. Lots of people, and it happens very fast. So, no other comments. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. I agree. I've served on this board for a number of years, and I have a lot of draws on my time, like all of us, but I think that we have an opportunity here to provide something to the city, something of value. I think one of the things that we need to work on is how we communicate that to council, and that we actually get council's guidance. I don't want them to think we're running off on a tangent where they don't want us to be, but in a way, we're the only group that has that opportunity. So a little bit of creative thinking is what this group has really offered for a long time. And I appreciate all the time that people put into getting to these meetings, and I know we all have other things to do. We need to encourage participation. I went to the Alaska Sea Life Center, Sip and See.
Wine by the water?
What's it called?
Wine by the water.
Wine by the water, correct, Sip and See. Yeah. And,
That's a good one.
Yeah, it was. I was very cautious with the amount of sipping I did, but it was a great event. And it's one of those things where you can see, I know the people that were involved in creating that center. I remember them, some of them, they're no longer with us, but that's what a community can do when they draw together, is create stuff like that. And it's the benefit of all of us, so it's encouraging to have those types of things. And the people who are involved with it, you know, they are really important to our community. I think we often don't see them as often as we should. You know, what they bring to this community is really, really important. The East Peninsula is going to be assaulted by DOT again this summer. I think we've seen well, maybe it's not assaulted is not the correct word, but road projects from all the way up around Turnagain Arm down to downtown will be delayed. It'll impact our schedules. It'll definitely impact my ability to go to council meetings, but in the end, hopefully we'll have the benefit of well-reasoned engineering and good use of our money, of our public money. Other than that, I don't have anything else. I appreciate your being here. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Nothing else. We'll adjourn.